and good afternoon, everybody. This is episode 14, and the topic for the day is Design Thinking in Packaging Part 2. We already had Part 1 few weeks back, and we have got an overwhelming response in Part 1. So based on the request from many audiences, we are going ahead with Design Thinking in Packaging Part 2. Now, just for a quick recap, right part of our brain is actually analyzing creative decisions. Left part of our brain is actually considering logical decisions. So when we are talking about package designing, right part of our brain is actually deciding the aesthetics part of the product or package, and left part of our brain is actually considering structural part of the product or package. Design thinking is a term which is first coined by Tim Brown, and it provides solution-based approach to solving problems. In simple words, design thinking is developing an understanding of the people for whom we are designing the product and services. Now, in last session, we had already discussed about 6 elements of design thinking: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. In today's session, we are going to discuss the same in an elaborate and vivid manner. The person who will be chairing the session today is Dr. Sudipto Bhattacharya. He is professor at VIT Vellore. In 2013, he represented India as a national expert in Cambodia, and he also authored 2 books and in the board of studies at RK University Rajkot and RGMCT College Nandyal, Andhra Pradesh. With this, I would like to request Dr. Sudipto to please start his session.
Thank you, everybody. And today I will be mixing and matching with few of the inputs which I gave last day. And also I would request you to have your questions ready, or we should go for an interactive mode after I have completed the presentation. So today's topic, as we all know, is the effect of design thinking, or the importance of design thinking and its relevance in designing packages. So if you see this particular slide, you see that on the top right, you have a very designed egg container, which has been made with minimal of the materials. Now, this egg container is itself biodegradable in nature. If you see in the middle, you will find that there is a Deepavali gift, which is actually prepared by investment company, which actually have designed this gift in such a way that it looks like more a jewelry box. On the extreme left, you can find, which I showed in the last class also, that dip type of tea leaf pouches, which you can dip in a hot water and get your green tea made. But it is like a flip bird. So whenever you are dipping it, it seems that the bird is flying inside the liquid. So all these are packages we understand. But what we have to appreciate and realize is each one of them have their aesthetic values. But is it aesthetics which we are only looking forward to while we design packages? So today we will be talking about how design thinking can shift us to a value-driven package designing. That is me, as already Prashanjit sir has introduced me to you people. So I am with VIT Vellore, and I am a professor with International Business, Entrepreneurship and Strategy area. So what is your take on this? This particular package talks about the packaging of skin tight jeans, the Lee Coopers. What happens here, it is something very interesting that when somebody buys this type of package and moves out of the shop or in the shopping mall, it creates an aura in the mind of the onlookers. They get excited and inquisitive about this. And please understand that companies keeps on developing and changing their packages so that every time it creates that aura of inquisitiveness and that sort of, mind-boggling imageries in the mind of the onlookers. So when we talk about your recent purchases or whatever purchases I have made in the recent past, usually there might be a chance that you have seen something, the package might have attracted you, and it has gone as an impulse buying. You might not have genuinely needed it, but might be that you have gone for it. So when I ask you about this, that what actually propelled or motivated your buying behavior, there is a high probability that might be that design of the package might have attracted you much. So is that the specific brand you wanted? Or is it that shampoo in that specific brand which you wanted? Or is it that the package in which the shampoo comes is something which has motivated you at that point of purchase? So there are 5 steps in design thinking. The first step starts with the customer end. So whenever we think about the market, we try to understand the problem in the market, and then accordingly we give solutions. Now, what happens when we are designing packages also? We do the same thing because individual customers are different. And as for a package designer, you have to think about what a customer looks forward in a package. We have empathized with the customer, we try to define it in our workable terms. So when we analyze the reason of the problem and then interpret what might be the problem and its solution can be, then we plan out a solution with our resources at disposal. So after empathizing, we come to the define stage. This third stage, after we have empathized and defined our problem and planned out a solution, we have to go ahead with our right brain thinking part, where we talk about the imagining process, the researching, which has been done already by some of the best minds in this design engineering process. And then we start giving our thoughts to what are the possible sources of failure and how we can tag in those or plug in those. So then comes your next stage. So when we have all these 5 steps in front of us, then we do understand that this prototype and testing might be iterative in nature. So we keep on developing and changing and adjusting the prototype as far as the test results are concerned to give the best of the benefits which we foresee. So I told you about the various benefits of packaging, and what you saw just now in that video actually is that the various steps of design thinking. Now, when we think furthermore about why this is so very important nowadays in this era of environmental degradation, we see this something that 17 sustainable goals. I told you there are 5 P's actually we are concerned about: the planet, the people, the prosperity, the peace, and the partnership. So out of this 5P, you will definitely find that when we talk about no poverty, zero hunger, affordable and clean energy, decent work, and economic growth. So we talk a lot of things, but one thing for sure we are talking about is making a better place to live in this earth. So while we do that, we talk about sustainable cities and communities. We talk about industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And definitely we talk about the 12th sustainable goal in this slide, the responsible consumption and production. So please do understand that once we are buying a product, it's not that we are only consuming the product per se, but we are also going ahead to use the package, reuse the package, or dispose of the package. So it is very important that how responsibly we consume and produce products as well as package, and we later on use it. So if you see the 13th, 14th, and 15th sustainable goals, we find there is something to do with climate action, life below water, life on land. And it is very important for human beings to understand that we coexist in this planet with other plant and animal kingdom. So we have a lot of other species which are lesser intelligent than us, and we have to take enough care of their survival even. So in those aspects, when we talk about, we have to be very focused on what we do as responsible citizens of this earth. So when we go ahead, this particular diagram or package I showed last class also, that this is the bubble pack of Nike, and it is something very good to do with what actually we are giving protection to the product itself, and also what type of package we are using. So this is basically, it feels that it's a polymeric package, but it's a biodegradable type of paper which has been blown like this. So a lot of balloons nowadays are made out of this paper, which are made in this way for protecting the product. So packaging is a form of branding. Definitely you create your brand and you put your brand on the package so that it breaks the clutter in the shelf. So it is quite challenging that when you have too many competing brands, how you create an inspiration for the masses to pick up your brand and that packaging appeal for the masses. So here again, I request you to post your questions on the chat box, which Prasenjit sir will be capturing. You can raise your hands and put your questions there also. We move forward with something of which are very important before I come back to the activities which I gave you, or the reading materials which I have supplied you before the session started. So something to playing it safe. So whenever we are trying to design packages, are we really emphasizing on something of high value, which we can make out of the finite resources at our disposal? Are we doing everything or enough for keeping our manufactured products, packing and selling the same products, or using the same factories and supply chain and infrastructure? Or are we going beyond that? Are we reusing the same thing again and again? Or are we playing it safe? We are doing a lot of incremental changes, which will be easier, quicker, and cheaper. But are we rethinking, redesigning enough so that we get our product nearer to the customer, nearer to the mind of the customer, and position in its mind space? So do we still want to offer the same product? So with the same type of thinking, we have created the same type of problem. So we have to move out of that space of thinking so that we can solve those problems which are created with our similar type of thinking. So those lifestyles and expectations around the environment are definitely changing, but are we still offering the same type of product? So though we find that a lot of things has been said, a lot of things are gradually being done through our commitments and initiative for recycling products, for designing for recycling, and biodegradable materials are being used. But are we really thinking outside the box, or are we reinventing the wheel again and again? So this is something playing it safe. We have to understand that at times we fall in this trap. Next comes the design thinking opportunity. Already I have explained to you the 5 steps of design thinking. But whenever we are going for NPD or new product development, we have to think comprehensively. We have to think holistically. So it's not only about the problem of the customer, but also the problem of the society in which he or she lives in. So we have to talk about something called waste hierarchy. Which waste can be recycled, which waste has to be disposed of, and you can still extract something important, something significant, something reusable from that waste after going through certain process. So we talk about circular economy, where you give back a product's package and then you get the product back. Then cradle to cradle methodology, from birth to death and again rebirth. So this is the cradle to cradle methodology, where we talk about packaging, where we put the customer's experience at the heart of any design thinking brief. So there has to be difference between the concept that is changing the game or the rules of the game, bringing in novelty. And we do understand that, life underwater, life on the earth, these are too much, dependent on the brands which we are littering. And it's being a prized possession in consumers' life, but we are at times littering it when we dispose them off. So this concept of inclusive design comes up, where we incorporate human problems, the societal problem, the technical challenges. We talk about the pestle factors, so to say. So we talk about the economics of it, the social, legal of it, socio-economic of it. We talk about the technicalities and definitely about the environmental issues. So this speaks about designing for consumers with different mental and physical capabilities. Then design for refill. This is a very traditional method where we have the traditional refill system. We buy oils in big bottles, but later on, to make it much more cost effective, we go ahead with the refill packs or the refill pouches. But what happens to those refill pouches later on? Are we not littering it, or are all those polymeric small refill pouches recyclable, or we have to throw them off and pass it through certain process to get value out of that? So the wealth of brands which we offer this system across our healthcare or skincare, and there are a lot of fantastic and famous brands out there. Similarly, about the home cleaning products we talk about. One of the big challenges for these models is definitely the refill pack, and which are not very economically viable to be recycled. Then let us remember, in our childhood, we used to have our milkman putting the bottles in front of our doors. And these beverages were specific. The glass packs were still a core product delivery system in many parts of the world for brands including Coca-Cola and Pepsi. But definitely in some of the nations, in recent past, we have Colombia, where if you are not, returning back the empty bottles, you can't get a new replenished bottles of Coke supplied to you. So this is something designed for refill, the traditional method. Okay, there is another very important movement which came out, like so many movements across the world on responsible consumption, the anti-disposable movement, and the designing for Generation Z. So we do understand that these are some of the cities which won't be giving you anything if you are not refilling a bottle, which are offered by public water fountains. You go to days in a lot of airports, you will find that there are a lot of small water fountains from where you can refill your bottles. 65 businesses in London, they actually have been offering free tap water refills. Coca-Cola is also piloting a freestyle refillable bottle system, which they are spearheading their research from Reading University. So PepsiCo, we always know that Coke and Pepsi are always having a frontal warfare. So when Coke launches non-cola, Pepsi launches non-cola. When Coke launches Kinley water, mineral water, Pepsi launches Bisleri. Similarly, this freestyle refillable bottle system of Coca-Cola was immediately returned back by Drinkifinity, this coffee pot style system by PepsiCo. So appreciated all these progressive steps definitely, and there is significant reduction in material and water usage. There was something given that how to write a packaging brief or a packaging design brief. So this is something which in a lot of industries we do when we interact with the customers, particularly in advertising industry. The the accounts team actually sits with the the clients, and this client interface, they actually find out what actually the client wants. So here you will find that the preliminary details are captured with the project name, where you talk about identifying the name of your project and developing a naming convention which allow both parties to file and organize several of your projects. Then you talk about brands and also the depth in which you have sat with your agency and done it. So I will come to this in my presentation also, but hope that some of you have gone through this, which I have given you for writing a packaging brief. And these are quite important for you to refer back to when you are really working with your clients in your industry. So you have to give certain amount of strategic details of marketing objectives. You talk about your segmented, targeted, and positioning initiatives. So you, in a heterogeneous marketplace, you break into homogeneous clusters, your customers, and find out what actually their requirements are. Then you, after you are segmented, you target them, and you finally position your products there. That is something which we are talking about, is brand positioning. And you know, this positioning is a concept which are visual imageries in your mind. So you sometimes carry them with you when you are going ahead. So if you see, there are specific examples I have talked about in brand positioning, about healthy food packaging, about electronics packaging, and also about dessert food packaging. So these particular thing I have shared with you. Then I have given you a hands-on activity to do also. I'm not sure how many of you have done it, but it involves this engineering design process of asking the customer, researching on what is existing, imagining the creative process, then planning out, then going to create this along with whatever resources are available for you, testing it, like a prototype has to be tested, and at times these are destructive testing, and improve on the test results. So when I talk about designing a package that works, I gave you something to do on 9-inch by 12-inch by 9-inch designer box, where you have to safeguard a fragile substance. It might be a glass container, a raw egg, or a saucer, or a cup, and this has to be shipped. So there will be certain engineering connections, and please do understand that whenever you are doing it, you are doing something which is very interdisciplinary in approach. So it's not only the designing which you are doing, you are along with that doing something which is cross-disciplinary. You are talking about 5 things basically. One is a cross-disciplinary collaborations you do. Another thing which you do is human-centered approach. The designer will be able to discover a lot of opportunities and problems by focusing on stakeholders' needs. So you do what should I say, a cross-functional collaboration, or cross-disciplinary collaboration, so to see. Then you get hold of to do something to do with your design thinking approach. So I will go ahead first with this particular activity which I gave. Then I asked you to prepare for it like a ship it quick company. So this is a new packaging engineering company, and you have to put these fragile things into the 9 by 12 by 9 inch designer box, and there you have certain restrictions to do it. But after doing all this with biodegradable materials, minimizing the waste, remember that sometimes to safeguard the product, we at times put a lot of things into it without thinking that there will be a lot of waste being generated after the package is opened. So to minimize waste, you have to also keep the package light, and you also have to keep that much amount of material which will exactly secure and safeguard the things or the products inside. So actually in this activity, I wanted you to do 2 things. One is this package design and construction, where you have to find out few alternatives to this type of packaging. The participants can have packaging supplies, a piece of paper, and a worksheet to do it. You can review the steps of the engineering design process, which I showed you on the top, and then you can draw the design, and you can find out that how the package can be constructed with the fragile items in it. So what actually we are doing here is establishing a cross-disciplinary partnership between different types of functionalities, We are also devising a methodology which is based on the design thinking model. We also are securing support resources for preparing this. Now we are coming to the package testing part. We are trying to implement whatever we have learned to safeguard the package and the product, as well as minimize the waste. Then we capture some of the confirming data of the package, like the total weight of the package, the total measurements, the what are the materials we have used, what might be the total shelf life for that package if it has perishable goods inside it. So we make all this and then compare the packaging designs with those which are effectively available in the market. This is very important. Have we made an art-friendly packaging? Then we have to check that whether these packages can be redesigned for further sort of benefits for the customers. So these are certain things which are important, but whatever I have given to you. And finally, you have this investigating questions asked. So these you can seek again with your clients, and after they have taken it from you, you can ask them these questions, or they can ask you these questions. You have to be ready with the answers. What are the advantages of these lighter packages? What are the disadvantages of these lighter packages? What advantage does a pre-formatted or preformed internal item holder it can provide? So these are certain things which are very important. So coming back to the thing, this also I have said module. This is a very good reading material. While I was researching, I got this from Materials World modules, and here you have specific things with activities in it which will enrich your thinking, design thinking concepts, and using them as a part. So if you see this, there is something called technological design and the scientific inquiry you do. So as I was talking about this, that the cross-disciplinary collaboration, the human-centered approach, the iterative nature, the use of systematic iterative process of divergent and convergent thinking with continuous use of physical prototyping, which will improve the variety and depth of the design solution. And finally, the experiential one, the overall collaboration, which will provide a fulfilling learn by doing experience. So you can find this in this document, which also I have shared with you. Now, coming back to something which I was doing before, with certain aesthetics, just talking about this packaging design brief. And there I talked about a lot of things, how you can get the information required from the client. So from a designer's standpoint, it will definitely act as a guide with the requirements and specifications necessary to create your artwork. So it allows the designer to prioritize and work in a timely fashion. So these are the preliminary details. Already I have talked about this. The project name, the brands, which help you to organize various activities. At times, there are a lot of campaigns done by branded companies, which actually promotes their new products in new packages. So these are very important when you go ahead with writing your design brief after you get it from the client. And there the date plays a very vital role of how you have developed on the previous brief which you got from your client. So the overviews comes now, the background, what actually you require from the agency, which describes your current state of packaging and product, and why your company likes a design change or design upgradation to happen. Then you can talk about the various, package design requirements, where we talk about updating the colors. See, color plays a very vital role, because if you ask any psychologist, you will understand that color, each color has its own connotation. If you see in our, common parlance, your Vodafone's logo of red, and there is a starting sign of an inverted comma. So it talks about speech, and red is the color of celebration. Similarly, when you see men in blue in Pepsi, you understand that blue is the color again of love, romancing with the game. So similarly, at times when we find yellow is something to do with fire, doing something which is very hot, which is something very crispy. So you will find that at times we package products in packages which have some indicative colors in it. So here you have this update the colors of the lip balm packaging to fit the new branding color scheme. So exact requirements, you require all this, which are very, very specific in nature. The package design objectives, where we talk about colors, visuals, shapes, and logos. The creative mandatories, where we talk about the designers which are given free hand to explore their creative ideas. We talk about certain hierarchy of communication, from the master brand to the sub brand to the callouts, etc. The container even might say that 50% more ice cream. So we know about all this when we offer certain products within a package which has 50% free, or something to do along with a product. We give a free toy or a gift, something as to attract the kids. We have it in Kellogg's cornflakes packages. So you understand the number of options now which will be given, the deliverables. It has to be very specific according to the requirements of the customers to fix it during its transport from one place to another, the dimensions, and you can have helpful information from design agencies. So there are a lot of artificial intelligence systems now being incorporated while designing a lot of things and even making it transported to the from the vendor's premise to another vendor's premise. There will be B2C packages. There will be also B2B customers who are buying from you. So you are preparing a lot of products, might be, for another business to use it. So there the confirmation of all the shape sizes are very, very important. So finally, you come to the medium or substrate details. This information is vital as it affects the design process and the final product, right? So coming to the strategic details, which I already have talked about when I was discussing about that document on the strategic details, then we have the specific things like to nourish the potential that exists already, providing a simple solution for mainstream users, for electronics packaging or for dessert food packaging. We offer delicious premium treat to eat on the go. So these are certain specific brand positioning objectives which we have to promote while we design our packaging. So there will be a lot of research going in. See, there is something which I always harp on is there is no shortcut for doing a comprehensive research on the customers, on the competitors, and whatever are the requirements for those 5 P's: planet, people, prosperity, partnership, and peace. So these are really, really very important. So finally, you come to that competitive set, though it's optional, but it is always wise to do it. When we talk about the competition's activity based on brand, communication hierarchy, packaging, the retail environment, how to stand out of the clutter. So now I will show you certain insanely creative designs to celebrate the stunning packaging designs. So if you see this using patterns, so these are simple patterns, but it will give you insight into the interesting striping on the background. This color scheme gives it a quality feel, and these are all American tools which speaks for themselves. Coming to something where you can use the package and consider all the space available to promote your product. So you see that you are bringing out a product from within a wrapper. So you are using inch by inch this box, which creates a pretty floral pattern on the interior. Instead of leaving inside untouched, the pattern makes the box feel more upscale, right? Then we come to something which is very simple, the Italian seasoning, which we use in a lot of pizzas and pastas. And these are simple packages, but it gives you that earthy feel. It gives you that the earth tone recycled materials are being used. And these bright pops of colors on the labels lend the design more nicely, more of a modern twist to the packaging. Then this is something, again, you are buying shoes, but inside they give you a small wrapper which can keep your shoes safe and dust free. Think about the experience. So here we consider the actions a person will go through while interacting with the product. In this case, the product is definitely luxury slippers, but remember that giving this type of pouches or bags which can keep the product safe. Then comes, sometimes we have to complement the product. So once I was talking to Prashanjit sir about the see-through packaging or the transparent packaging and the translucent packaging also. So here at times you have to keep your package in such a way what is inside the pack is very, very important, and you can see it and understand. So this packaging looks quite simple and natural, and you can just find what is inside. Like in lot of countries across the globe, now when you go for an eatery, there are certain restrictions that where you are preparing the food, it should be made in glass cubicles, or there should be a glass separator so that you can understand how much healthy and hygienic conditions are being maintained where you are preparing your food. So similarly, in case of packaging also, this has become very important, the impression of transparency and being proud of what you are selling. Then comes be playful. See, we all know that when we were kids, we used to have those camelin color pencil boxes, and there is something which is very joyful and playful inside that. So even in food also, sometimes in Cadbury packs also, it comes like that. So whenever we are packaging Cadbury's, we are making it in a form of guitar, or we are making in the form of a teddy bear. So at times the things which attracts the kids more is less the product, might be more the package. So sometimes it sells both. The colors relate to the berries, and the act of character eating the berries indicates their quality. Think there, be bold. So whenever you are using multiple colors and this scheme, you can be very bold and promote your brand with using multiple colors and shapes in an interesting pattern so that they stand out from the clutter. This Equila packaging utilizes these things, and they looks fun, and they looks very funny and playful, and it promises a good time. So something like that which you choose from. Even the bottle also. I think all of us are familiar with Coca-Cola bottle. That bottle has not gone much changes, except might be that it has come from glass to a polymeric bottle, a polyethylene terephthalate bottle. But if you see still the glass bottle, it is having the same structure and same. Even the rum bottle, Old Monk, has the same shape. So what happens, that shape itself connotes in the mind of the customers where you have positioned the brand into. So you can break the mold also, come out of something which is already there. So this is basically a lamp basically which you have put in, and you have tried to be innovative in how to display. This honey package actually took a step in the opposite direction of the typical glass or plastic jar, and you can burn down the package, making it completely waste free. So remember that whenever you are putting candles, you can even burn down that package in which the candle holder is there, and you create no waste, it just evaporates. Similarly, nowadays you will find edible plates are also coming. So you can give food in certain things, like we all know about cornetto ice cream. So we can eat up that cone itself, which comes, which is like a wrapper. So these type of things also has come in, and we can now have to explore without playing it safe, where more you can use it so that it becomes a part of the utilization of the product. Consider the process here. So the process in which you make a product. So you have citrus fruit here, and it's gift worthy. It display in that way. The limonocello actually is created to be a gift and appropriately packed. So the white paper actually protects the glass bottle, but also it keeps things cool, and even you can use it later on for cleaning up your hand. And this can be giving you a feel of regularly wrapped up gifts. How you are opening it, you have that feel when you get a birthday gift and how you open it up to find out what it is inside. So take it away. What are the things we have discussed now? We looked at all the basics almost, that the fossil fuels are exhaustible. We can't use too much of fossil fuels and fossil products, fuel products in our package designing. We have to reduce the carbon footprints. Is it responsible really to use a finite material to wrap and package products for a single use? We have to have consideration for the positive social or health impact. We can also have certain medical applications even of the package which we are using. So when I am discussing all this, I am telling you about multiple cross-functional use of packaging. Then we are going to talk about the finite materials for our convenience. Then we need to consider the creative ways to deliver our products also to our customers so that it becomes safe. We have tried a lot of things in FMCG sector where we have talked about being responsible leader and widely recycled expectations of the industry and designing package for it. Over and above all this essential requirement, we have to apply design thinking for our NPD process to cover product and packaging development in tandem. Remember, you have to think that present perfect, future tense. So if the future becomes tense, you can think that the present is perfect. That is a very, what should I say, myopic, narrow vision of looking at things. So we have to think that what are the present tense but future perfect. So future perfect, present tense is really a strategic way of looking at things, and we should avoid the short-term frames. We should also talk about the innovative materials, which we need to think long-term. We have to think about being a sustainable brand, which has to be carefully balancing between the needs of the brand, longevity, the environmental process and growth in a responsible way. So if you really want to look for further more references, you can go for this anti-disposable packaging by Tracy Sutton. You can go through these websites and learn packaging designs also. And there are n number of materials on this. Those who are researchers or having research bent of mind, definitely you will be finding it really, really very knowledgeable and learning for you. So here am I with all this connectivities for you, and hope I didn't take your time and do injustice. I hope I have given you something which you can later on use in your life, particularly that design thinking brief, what you do actually with your customers, and finally use and emerge as a really a good design thinker for packages and use packages for sustainable future. So please remember again those 5 P's: people, planet, product, peace, and partnership. These are the 5 Millennium Development Goals, which are so very important. Okay.